It's interesting. We talk a lot about living longer, but maybe not enough about what it really means to age well.
That's a great point. Beyond just counting the years, what does quality of life look like? Vitality, control.
Exactly. And I think for many of us, there's maybe a quiet worry about losing independence down the road. It's a common fear, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. The thought of losing autonomy is a significant concern for people as they think about getting older.
For sure. And that's actually what we're diving into today. We're looking at some really empowering alternatives to, say, traditional nursing homes.
Ways people can age while really holding on to their dignity, their choices.
Right. But we're also going to touch on something a bit sensitive, but really crucial, recognizing some of those subtle signs that maybe a loved one is nearing their final year.
And these two things, they're actually quite connected, aren't they?
How so?
Well, both come from understanding the aging journey better, thinking proactively, focusing on well-being at every single stage.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So for our deep dive today, we've got a couple of interesting sources. One's an article that outlines some pretty diverse ways people are choosing to age, different models.
And the other?
The other's a transcript from a YouTube channel, Oldie Wisdom, I think it's called. It talks about those indicators, often missed, that someone might be approaching the end of life.
Got it. So our mission today really is to equip you, the listener, with knowledge. Knowledge about the proactive choices out there for aging well, offering hope, practical understanding.
And on the flip side, maybe some gentle insights into those more delicate signs, not to cause worry, but maybe to help foster better care, more meaningful connections.
Exactly. Better preparation, maybe more cherished time together.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Let's start with the positive stuff, the idea that getting older doesn't automatically mean losing freedom. First up is aging in place. What does that actually look like?
Well, fundamentally, aging in place is about, staying in your own home as you get older. But crucially, getting the support you need to do that safely and comfortably.
Right. And the article really highlights the emotional side of that, doesn't it? Our connection to home.
Oh, it's huge. Familiarity, memories, identity. It's all wrapped up in where we live. Most older adults, when asked, say they strongly prefer to stay put.
Yeah, I can totally see that. Leaving all that behind, it's a big deal.
It really is. And what's made aging in place more viable is how home care services have evolved. It's not just basic help anymore.
What kind of things are we talking about?
Well, trained caregivers for meals, medication reminders, personal care like bathing, dressing, but also just companionship, which is so important. Plus, you can get personalized care plans, even visits from licensed nurses. Sometimes that can head off a trip to the hospital,
It sounds much more comprehensive than maybe people realize. And the article mentioned technology, too.
Yes. That's been a real game changer. Think about smart home tech, like motion sensors for subtle lighting, emergency alert systems, pendants or wristbands, medication dispensers that remind you.
Okay, yeah, stuff that boosts safety.
Exactly, safety and independence. Some studies even show this tech can significantly cut down the risk of falls.
So it really helps people stay in control of their own lives, their own schedule. That dignity piece the article mentioned feels really key here.
It absolutely is. Living life on your own terms in your own space. But, the article is fair. It also says it isn't for everyone.
Right. If someone has really complex health issues, it might not be enough.
Precisely. It's not a perfect fit for every single situation.
That's still a really powerful option. So, key takeaway. Staying home is more achievable now, thanks to better care and tech. Okay, next. Independent living communities. Sounds different.
It is quite different. These are for older adults who are generally independent, don't need daily medical help, but want convenience, security, and social opportunities.
So like your own apartment or cottage, but within a larger community.
Exactly. Private living space, but with access to amenities and activities. And a big plus, the article highlights, no more home maintenance.
Yes. No mowing the lawn, no fixing the leaky faucet. I can see the appeal.
Right. It frees up your time and energy for things you actually enjoy.
And it sounds like there's a strong social side.
Definitely. Lots of optional activities, usually fitness classes, clubs, group meals, outings. It's about finding that balance.
Yeah.
Privacy when you want it, community when you want it.
Which helps combat loneliness, I imagine.
A huge factor. It provides built-in ways to connect with people, make new friends, especially if maybe your existing social circle has shrunk a bit.
And the article mentioned these places are often designed with proactive aging in mind.
Yeah, many have wellness centers, hobby rooms, libraries, even salons on site. It makes it easy to stay active, engaged, pursue interests.
Okay. So takeaway for independent living. Enhances independence by ditching the chores and boosting social life. Got it. Now, something maybe more traditional, but with a twist.
Yeah.
Multi-generational living.
Yes, basically sharing a home across different generations of a family. The article points out this is historically how many people lived. It's not really a new idea.
No, but maybe making a comeback. It does evoke a certain warmth, doesn't it? Grandparents, kids, grandkids, all interacting.
The emotional benefits are often a big driver. Stronger family ties, seeing grandkids grow up, older adults feeling needed, having a purpose within the family.
And the practical side, too, I guess, especially with care costs being what they are.
Absolutely. Sharing bills, utilities, food, and potentially sharing caregiving tasks can make it much more affordable for everyone involved.
The article mentioned things like ADUs, accessory dwelling units.
Right, like building a small separate apartment or cottage on the property gives everyone a bit more privacy while still being close.
But it sounds like communication is key for this to work. Setting boundaries.
Oh, essential. Clear expectations, respecting personal space. But the article also stressed it's often reciprocal. The older adult isn't just receiving care, they're contributing too. Babysitting, cooking, wisdom.
Right, a two-way street. So, takeaway. Deeper family bonds, sense of purpose through connection. Okay, moving on to something perhaps newer for some listeners. Co-housing or shared living.
Yeah, this is a really interesting model. It combines private living spaces, your own apartment or small house, with shared common areas and responsibilities.
So you have your own place, but maybe share a big kitchen, dining area, garden, workshop.
Exactly. The whole idea is to build a strong sense of community, fight isolation, but without sacrificing your independence or personal space. It encourages those sort of spontaneous connections with neighbors.
Friendships can just happen naturally.
Right. And there are financial perks, too. Shared costs for utilities, maybe even bulk buying food or sharing cars. It can be more affordable.
More flexible than some other options, too, maybe. Less rigid schedules.
Generally, yes. Plus, the article touches on sustainability. Sharing resources is often greener.
And it mentioned purpose-built communities are popping up. And matching services.
That's right. It's a growing area, helping people find or create communities that fit their lifestyle and values.
Okay, so the key takeaway for co-housing. Finding companionship and support, but keeping your independence. A neat balance. All right, finally, assisted living facilities. The article suggests there are misconceptions here.
Definitely. Some people think it's just a waiting room for a nursing home, but that's often not the case at all. It's really about finding a balance, independence with support.
So usually private apartments or rooms, but with help readily available for daily tasks.
Exactly. Help with things like meals, getting dressed, managing medications, bathing, whatever the person needs. It provides a safety net.
Peace of mind, knowing help is there 247.
For residents and families, yes. And modern places really emphasize choice and autonomy. It's not about strict institutional routines. People usually have input on their schedules, lots of activities offered.
Social events, hobbies, outings. It sounds like it could actually improve quality of life for some. The article even said maybe a lifestyle upgrade.
That's an interesting way to put it. By taking care of some of the harder daily tasks, it frees people up to focus on enjoying life, relationships, hobbies.
And maybe a cost-effective middle ground sometimes between full home care and a nursing home.
It can be, depending on the level of care needed. The focus is really on getting the right support while preserving dignity and independence. And it might seem small at first, like you said, clothes getting looser, needing a tighter belt notch.
But it's not just normal aging.
Rarely. The transcript suggests it's often a sign the body isn't absorbing nutrients well or that muscle mass is shrinking. It mentions difficulty digesting food, processing protein.
Okay. And that leads to other problems.
Unfortunately, yes. Increased risk of falls, a weaker immune system, more infections. It becomes a bit of a cycle. Sometimes it's linked to metabolic changes, inflammation reducing appetite too.
The transcript also mentioned appetite and taste can naturally fade a bit with age, which could contribute.
True. And it's important to remember underlying conditions can cause weight loss too. Cancer, heart failure, kidney disease, even depression or dementia.
So if someone keeps losing weight, even when you try to get them to eat more,
that's a really significant sign, according to the transcript. The advice then shifts. Maybe less about forcing food, more about comfort. Easy to eat things, hydration.
Gotcha. So, key takeaway. Unexplained, ongoing weight loss is a really crucial signal. Something's changing physiologically. Okay, second sign. Extreme fatigue and weakness. We all get tired.
Right, but this is different. The transcript describes it as overwhelming exhaustion. Not just tired, but wiped out. Rest doesn't really fix it. Simple tasks become huge efforts.
Why does that happen?
The body's basically conserving energy.
Yeah.
Organs might be slowing down. The heart maybe isn't pumping as strongly. Circulation weakens. Metabolism slows. Energy gets redirected just to vital functions.
So needing way more sleep. Crashing suddenly.
Exactly. Lots more napping, sudden energy drops. And the transcript points out the emotional toll, too. Frustration, maybe embarrassment at needing help, which can lead to pulling back socially.
That makes sense. It must be hard.
Very. So the advice is really to respect their limits. Let them rest. Prioritize comfort over pushing them.
Okay. So deep, persistent fatigue, another major signal the body's shifting gears. Third, increased confusion or withdrawal. This sounds tough for families.
It can be very difficult to witness. The transcript talks about changes in thinking, talking, interacting, more forgetfulness, trouble following conversations, maybe getting lost easily even at home.
And physiologically, that's linked to
Reduced blood flow and oxygen to the brain, often. You might see them repeating things, forgetting names, losing track of time.
But maybe not all the time. The transcript mentioned moments of clarity.
Yes, it can fluctuate. Periods of confusion, then moments where they seem more like themselves. And then there's a withdrawal aspect, losing interest in socializing, hobbies.
Not because they don't care anymore.
Often because the brain is just processing things differently. It's harder to engage. Mood changes can happen too, irritability, anxiety, or maybe becoming unusually calm or detached.
So the advice is to just be patient, gentle.
Meet them where they are. Speak simply, offer comfort. Reassurance is key. Even if they can't respond fully, they often sense your presence, your care.
Right. So changes in thinking and interacting, definitely significant signs. Okay. Fourth, frequent infections and slow healings. This points to the immune system.
Exactly. A weaker immune system means more colds, flu, UTIs, pneumonia, skin infections. And when they do get sick, it takes much longer to recover.
Wounds take longer to heal, too.
Yes, significantly longer. Minor cuts or sores might linger. The transcript mentions antibiotics might also be less effective as the body weakens. Chronic wounds can become a real issue, especially with poor circulation.
And there is a crucial point about how infections show up differently.
Yes. Really important. In older adults nearing the end of life, the first sign of infection might not be fever. It might be increased tiredness or sudden confusion.
That's vital for families to know, so the focus shifts again.
Often, yes. Less about aggressive cures for every infection, more about comfort, good hydration, careful skincare to prevent breakdown, reducing stress.
Okay, so takeaway. A pattern of infections and slow healing shows declining resilience. Final sign, major changes in breathing or circulation. These sound more obvious, maybe?
They can be more noticeable, yes. The transcript describes changes in breathing patterns, maybe slower, shallower breaths, or pauses between breaths. Sometimes that irregular pattern called Cheyne-Stokes breathing.
And circulation changes?
Cold hands and feet, maybe the nose and ears too. Skin might look pale or bluish or kind of mottled. That's often because the heart isn't pumping as strongly.
Shortness of breath, too, even without much activity.
Yes, feeling breathless easily, maybe breathing through the mouth, needing to stop and catch their breath often.
Fluid buildup was mentioned in the lungs.
Right, which can cause a cough, maybe a gurgling sound when breathing. They might prefer sleeping propped up with pillows to make breathing easier.
And again, the focus is comfort.
Primarily. Keeping the room cool, maybe a humidifier, sips of water. Oxygen or medications might be used, but the main goal is easing distress, ensuring comfort.
Okay. So noticeable changes in breathing and circulation are strong indicators the body is entering its final stages. Wow. It's a lot to take in, but really valuable information.
It is. And it's not about being morbid. It's about being aware, being attuned, so you can offer the best, most compassionate support.
Right. So just to wrap up our deep dive today, we've covered quite a bit. We looked at those empowering alternatives to traditional nursing homes, aging in place, independent living, multi-gen, co-housing, assisted living.
Highlighting that there are diverse ways to age with dignity and keep your independence.
And then we talked about those subtle but significant signs from the oldie wisdom transcript that might indicate a loved one is in their final year.
Things like the weight loss, fatigue, confusion, infections, breathing changes.
And it's crucial to remember, like the transcript said, not everyone shows all these signs and they can start subtly. But just being aware is key.
Absolutely. It allows for better preparation, emotionally and practically. And in those later stages, it really comes down to listening to the body, focusing on comfort, peace, dignity.
Understanding these signs helps with care, with making choices, and really with cherishing the time you have left together.
Well said.
So here's a final thought for you, the learner, to maybe mull over. How does knowing all this change how you think about aging? For yourself or for people you care about, what proactive steps might you want to explore now?
It really comes down to thinking about how to live well with agency through every stage of life.